Hello everyone, we're Team Japan 2 and we're here to present our final project. In 2011, a 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit Japan, causing a tsunami and nuclear meltdown in Fukushima that killed 16,000 people. Years later, the survivors continued to experience mental health issues, especially amongst children. With this in mind, we want to develop an information system as a virtual therapy to address mental concerns of those kids. This program seeks to fulfill the purpose in building leadership and development by focusing on the field of disaster, help relief, and for a stress-free environment of any affected child in Fukushima. Johnson & Johnson is actively proactive in helping with programs that the region has faced. Our ultimate goal is to provide support to local Japanese communities and help in developing programs where kids can have a healthy and stress-free upbringing. This could only come to fruition with a local non-profit partner, Shikyu no Gakko, a non-profit organization dedicated to promoting the healthy upbringing of children and offering child care support. They currently run a mobile library project for kindergarten children across affected areas of disasters in Japan. This bus currently travels across tsunami-affected areas and provides children books to read. They believe that children could relax through picture books and help them cope with their recovery process. Through this innovation, we believe that this organization aims to achieve our mutual goals in a society in which all people support one another, helping to reduce the burdens and challenges they might face together. This organization has a firm belief that children need to have time to feel relief from any disaster. They would be a great partner to work with. Here at Johnson & Johnson, we're dedicated to promote physical strength and provide help to children that have suffered from any disaster. Here at Johnson & Johnson, we're responsible to the communities in which we live and work, and to the world community as well. We encourage civic improvement, better health, and education for our children. Our ultimate goal is to provide a virtual therapy program that can provide help and aid in relief to those children affected by the tsunami in Fukushima, Japan.
After 6 years of the Fukushima earthquake, children are experiencing increased mental health issues. According to the study, 77.2% of the parents saw their children become more stressed due to the restrictions on outdoor activities. 24.4% of the children aged from 4 to 6, 22% in children of primary school age, and 16.2% in children of junior high school age were identified as needing mental health support. This rate, on average of 21.2%, is much higher compared to the general population in the unaffected area, with the average of 9.5%. Other children are facing school bullies. 129 school bullying cases were found in fiscal year 2016, including 13 cases that are directly linked to the nuclear crisis in the region. Moreover, children are mentally struggling with the fear of getting thyroid cancer. 16 new cases developed in 2016, which brought the total confirmed thyroid cancer cases to 116, with the additional suspected cases of 50. With the increased concerns on mental health conditions among children, social supports are needed. With this proposed project, we want to provide a virtual therapist platform to children in Fukushima region and help at least 60% of them reset their mental health status to the average level in Japan in the next 4 years.
So getting into the project plan, there are 5 main categories or main tasks that will need to be completed by Johnson & Johnson and Shikyu Gakko. The first is to purchase and develop an artificial intelligence system. This will be used for the infrastructure of the virtual therapeutic system. Then to acquire a building. Third, to hire the staff. 4, to market to the public. We'll need to be careful and use a very specific strategy to increase the adoption of this solution to the public. And then to expand. So first, with purchasing and developing an artificial intelligence system, it'll be necessary for Johnson & Johnson and Shikyu Gakko to either partner or hire some type of team of software and digital media engineers and graphic designers. And with this team, it'll be useful or be necessary to develop this infrastructure system in the meantime, while psychiatrists will develop a sort of script or a list of questions to kind of prompt the children for answers or for responses that can help gear them towards helping their anxiety or depression and give them some sort of therapy. Now, because the strategy is to use well-known characters that appeal to the children that they look up to, it'll be necessary for Johnson & Johnson to try to reach out to local or domestic contacts or contacts to and media companies that have the popular cartoons in Japan or local to Fukushima and try to gain some sort of copyright agreement so that we can use these characters for this artificial intelligence system. Next will be to acquire a building. Now, Chikyugako, because they already do a lot of the reading work through Johnson & Johnson sponsorship in Fukushima, may already have some building that would be appropriate for this program. However, it'll be very useful to have a building that has a few classrooms, and these will be used for the therapeutic portions, but also to have a recreational area and an open area where kids can be social and socialize and play with each other. And this will kind of go with the underlying goal that we're trying to be careful with how we display this project and how we market it to the public. Rather than being strictly for therapeutic reasons, we'll market this as a social recreational environment where kids can come and play. And then once the parents are in the door, we'll explain to them the option of giving their kids this very subtle therapy through their favorite cartoon characters. Next will be to hire these staff. So because this is a therapeutic program, it'll be necessary to have a psychiatrist on staff at all times. This will be in addition to the psychiatrists that are necessary for developing the artificial intelligence system, and potentially we can even use the same because they'll have the best understanding of the results or the script that's being used for the AI system. In addition to the psychiatrist, we'll want to have some sort of child development professional. This could be both the psychiatrists, they could be specialized in both aspects. I think this will actually be necessary because it'll be needed to have a subtle approach so that the kids don't know that they're being put through this sort of treatment. Otherwise, a negative stigma might arise and kids might not be interested in going to this facility anymore. And we'll also want some sort of recreational instructor. And the reason for this is because this will give that kids their real desire to want to come to this building, to want to go there with their friends and socialize, and in their own right from that way gain some sort of therapy in addition to the classes they'll be taking with their favorite cartoons and cartoon characters. So one of the most critical parts of this is the way that we market this to the public. I've already explained that it'll be necessary to try and disguise this program at first so we can get people in the door. So what we're thinking is we pitch this as a recreational, a fun place to be. This will get kids excited. Maybe we can pitch it to them through their schools. And once kids get in the door, they're having fun with their friends. This will be the opportunity that the instructors or the psychiatrists can speak with the parents to sign them up and let them know, hey, we have an option for you to put your kids through these courses or these small, half-hour long cartoon structure that will guide your kid through some therapy if they're having some sort of social and anxiety or depression issues that you've noticed. This will be a subtle way other kids won't know what's going on. We'll keep this completely discreet from the children, but it'll help them through their problems. And this will be necessary because it could be received through the Japanese public, or especially in Fukushima when they've had such tragic events, that their families might be looked as weak. And Japan is a very collectivist society. They have tight knits within their family, and this also leads to a lot of conflict outside of family between groups. So it'd be good to keep this sort of disguised so the families feel comfortable sending their kids here. And the next part of the project plan will be to expand. So the building we'll be trying to grab will need to be centralized within the domestic or communities of Fukushima. But as we grow, we can expand this to make a system that adapts towards teenagers. So when the Fukushima event occurred, many of the kids were young children or maybe babies. And so our target audience here 7 years later is mainly 6-year-olds to 12-year-olds. But as this expands, we can adapt a new system, maybe use different characters, try to make it less childish, I would say, and develop this for teenagers. Or we can grow this to other regions a little further out from Fukushima since a lot of families left. This will be a big opportunity to grow the program and try to help more people.
To measure the progress and success of the project, internal and external assessment will be required. Internal reviewers will assess the course of the project. They must be part of the project staff administration. External reviewers will assess the benefits after the project activities are completed. They must be a representative sample of the participants. The aspects for internal assessment are project objectives achievement, taking into account their established importance to reach subsequent steps in project. A second aspect is how economic resources and inputs like funds, expertise, time are converted to results. The external assessment will be focused on the beneficiaries' requirements and needs. These aspects should be scored by the reviewers, and a report should be generated. For evaluating and modifying methods over the course of the project, internal assessment should be tracked by the project staff, and coordination workshops will be required to take lessons learned, identifying improvements.
We now begin exploring future funding resources available to Johnson & Johnson in order to execute this project. The Japanese NPO Center is a significant ally to all NGOs participating in Japan. They provide educational programs in order to train volunteers willing to contribute to their community. This is a resource that we may also avail to and further get our employees ready in order to work in the schools in our community. For more monetary support, we can avail help from the United Nations, who, in the form of UNESCO and UNICEF, have educational programs currently being executed. We may avail for their financial and also personnel help in order to get their expertise when running such a project. We also get to know from the NPO that a significant amount of funding that goes into the project stems from program fees. Given that our community is an impoverished one and our focus is to better improve their lives without putting a significant amount of financial stress, we will try to incorporate a more heavy reliance towards our funding resources and grants in order to balance out the costs. We now begin discussing the budget allocation that we stipulate is required for this project. The estimated costs come up to 26 million yen per annum. A significant amount of these funding costs will go into providing 7 engineers full-time jobs. These engineers are required to develop the AI that will be going into these schools. A significant amount of assets will come from J&J and Shigenugaku on their established distribution networks and resources in order to further fund this project. The facility required and the funding required to maintain it have also been stipulated into the budget. And finally, the training programs that are required to be developed also stem from the software and field engineers working in the field. They will be working with the volunteers that will come and help, and that will significantly reduce the costs of running a full-time operation.
This is all we have for this proposal. Thank you for listening.